Yay!
I'm really excited. Rebecca Kramer here. I am here with the fabulous Naomi Lee. I'm so excited to have you on with me today.
Me too.
Yes. So excited to have you on. So I know you. Well, first we were neighbors, like
Yes.
business owner neighbors, and then you started doing my hair. Obviously, you do a fabulous
Yeah,
job.
you look good.
And also, I mean, the crazy thing that you've kind of taken on, especially since COVID, maybe you can, I guess, introduce yourself and tell everyone a little bit more about this other thing that you're focusing on.
For sure. Well, thank you so much for having me. I know we've talked about this, so it's awesome to finally be doing it. And you have your own podcast, which is amazing. Yeah, so obviously Rebecca shared kind of how we met, and I think that for me, like as a hairstylist, I get to meet so many incredible people, and with COVID and everything and being shut down so many times, it really gave me so much time to just think and really kind of ask myself some of the harder questions, like what are you doing and what's it all for? And I felt like being shut down just pulled some of that stuff out of me, not being able to talk to my clients all the time and encourage them. And, there was just so much stuff going on in the world. And so I think for me, out of that space of COVID and everything that went with that, I just realized that I was super passionate about like encouraging people and motivating them and just helping them to, see past what's in front of them and kind of get to the next space. So out of that, I just started doing videos, and I did a virtual summit, which Rebecca was a part of, which was amazing, just on the idea of you are your personal brand. So you need to know who you are. So this whole space around self-worth and knowing who you are is kind of where my passion is. And, as I navigate the right mediums to do that in, that's kind of what I've been working on with having a YouTube channel and just kind of launching those types of things.
Very cool. Very cool. So you have a YouTube channel that you've launched. What is your YouTube channel about?
It's really just about connecting. Like, I believe that we have everything that we need inside of us for greatness, for whatever we are trying to do. And it's just really about connecting people to that. And then also kind of highlighting some of the resources and the ways to actually do the thing that you want instead of just having ideas, but actually going out there and doing it. And you're such a good example of someone who really does it, like this podcast is a prime example of that.
I mean, it's kind of exciting to, like, for me, I've had to do things because for example, I had access to LinkedIn Live, so I felt like I needed to use it. And I think that there are so many things that are affected by external and internal. Mm-hmm. And I know that, defining like your inner worth or your self-confidence, like how has that changed for you, and how has it changed your impacted your business?
Absolutely. I think, again, it's always a journey. We're all on a journey of kind of like understanding ourselves better and, kind of growing. And again, COVID for me was just that point where it was like, I really had the time to dig a little deeper, and out of that, realizing the impact that has on everything that you do. And we know it, but sometimes we don't really know it. You know what I mean? And so when it comes to your business, like this is everything in your life, but when we're talking specifically about business, if you don't know who you are, if you don't know what your worth is, what you deserve, if you don't know the people that really pull on your heart that you're meant to serve, you don't really know where you're going. And you can really work around in circles and circles and circles. And a lot of entrepreneurs, I think, struggle with that space of like, they have so many ideas. Like, I know I struggle with that. I think you probably have that too, but where it's like you have all these ideas and all this creativity, but at the end of the day, if you're not connected to what makes you tick, it's just spinning tires, and you end up burnt out, you end up frustrated, you end up not really moving forward. And so really connecting to who you are I think it's the key to everything that you do.
So why do you think that that's important?
Because I think that in order to get to where you're going, you really need focus. You really need to know the direction in which you're headed. And if you don't know that within yourself, it's so easy to get pulled in every different direction that comes along, especially like even right now, like there's always like common themes. Like if you think of it, even with diet, there's so many different diets, there's so many different things at any given time. And if you don't know what works for your body and what you need, you're just going to bounce from diet to diet to diet to diet to diet, and you're never really going to get any results. And it's the same thing with business. If you don't know who you are, you're going to try this, try that, try this, try that. And that there's nothing wrong with exploring, but what I'm saying is the more connected you get to who you are, the easier those decisions come and the easier it is to become focused on where you're going. I think oftentimes we get very caught up in just trying to figure that out through mediums of business instead of really getting into like yourself.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. So how would I do that? Like, I mean, I guess, how do you suggest that someone figure that out?
I think like it's just a muscle that you have to practice. It's something that you have to strengthen. It's that space of when you feel like you just want to read another book or you just want to study another thing. Like that's all great, but sometimes you need to take time for yourself. You need to have self-care. You need to really listen to that inner voice. You need to kind of know like what's pulling on me. And I think sometimes we get so caught up with everything else that we stop listening to ourselves, and things get very confusing and very cloudy. And so I would say in practical ways, scheduling time for yourself, making that time to get quiet, even though it's hard sometimes to be still, but getting quiet and whatever it is for you, if it's yoga, if it's listening to music, if it's, just working out, running, if that's a place where you get to clear your mind and really hear your thoughts, those things are really important to connect to like who you are.
Yeah. I think, I mean, yoga is really good for that. I think when you are working out, the nice thing about working out is that it like takes your mind away from whatever you're thinking about, whatever you're worried about, because you're focusing on something specific, right?
Mm-hmm. It's so true. And I think it's also like, for me anyway, something that's been very helpful is, and it gets stronger as you spend more time, but when you know kind of like the direction that you're wanting to go, it's finding people that are going in that direction as well, and it's consuming more of that content into your mind and into your life than all of the other noise. And when you can get more specific in terms of what you need to push you forward, like, and I think right now, even just mental health is such a big thing for so many people. And that can take you out. Like that can take you out of your business. You could have everything going your way, but if your mental health is not in the right place, like you can be out just like that. And everything you worked for, can fall apart. And so it's very important to take care of your mind and exercise that muscle, I think.
Yeah. Especially right now. I mean,
Oh,
right now, I guess we're in Canada, so we've just opened up, but it's been, a lot of time, like a lot of businesses closed, a lot of people affected. And I think, I mean, yes, it's a good opportunity to do all the things that you're saying, but it's also a good opportunity. Like it's a good opportunity anytime. We should really be thinking about these things all the time, right?
Oh, 100%. And it really is the driving force of like, if you do want to be successful and whatever success means to you, but if I think you really have to know, okay, who am I helping? What am I doing? Why? You really need to know your why, because the world is going to get flipped upside down. And if you're not grounded in what that is for you, it will just toss you, And I think the businesses that will survive hard things are the businesses that really have a foundation and where they're going and their values and what they're doing, and they're not going to just get swayed when there's a storm, and so the more connected you are, the more you can have stability.
Absolutely. So I guess, what kind of challenges have you had to overcome when it comes to these things? Like obviously COVID, and that's something that's affected other people, other business owners as well. But is there any other, I guess, challenges that you've had to overcome that, made you kind of, do I actually know my why, or what am I doing here?
Yeah, that's a really good question. I think one thing I did find is it's very easy when you become skilled at something, or when something becomes natural to you, to kind of go into autopilot. Like, it just becomes something that you do, and you're making money and you're doing great. But, unless you take the time to stop, you're not really being challenged. You're not really growing. You're not really moving forward. And so for me, again, like, COVID hit me right between the eyes, and it made me realize, like, what are you doing? Like, you're just comfortable. And so it's that switching that mindset to say, like, I don't want to just live my whole life in this pattern and do the same things every day. I want to make an impact, whatever it is for people. But for me, it was like, I want to use the things in my life to help other people. And so I need to stop focusing just on myself and start thinking about that. And another area, I think, I don't know if this kind of piggybacks off of it, but I think for me, one of the challenging things in my life, which really connects to your self-worth, is just that idea of, like, people pleasing. And, I think in business, it's really easy to want to just make people happy. And if you don't know your worth, you're never going to charge the right amount. You're never going to attract the right clients into your business. You're not going to get where you want to go because you won't think that you're deserving of it.
Right.
So that's like, that for me has, as I spend more time growing, and all of you, I'm sure, will feel the same way, those things get a little easier.
So what can a business owner do to,
What's that?
Obviously, you have to be confident enough to do all the things that you're talking about.
Yeah, I think that there's that.
Are you there?
You have to small. I think sometimes. Yeah, can you hear me? See you, but I don't you can hear me. Can you? Can you hear me?
Yes, I can.
Okay.
I think it's very delayed, but that's okay.
Okay. Yeah, I think you just have to start small. You have to start with the small things you can do to make that change, and just keep adding to that. Like, it doesn't need to be everything all at once. Maybe it's every day you're charging a little more than you did the day before. You're following through with it with 3 clients rather than 10, but like every day you're taking those steps towards being better in the direction that you want to be, and you're not going to get there overnight. I think that's the thing about mindset, is that you see a mountain in front of you, but it's just the steps that you take each day to get to over that mountain, instead of looking at the whole thing and being like, I'm never going to get there. I don't know. Yeah. Can you hear me? Yeah. Okay.
Yeah. I can hear you. I think it's just a little bit delayed, so that's okay. So I guess when it comes to mindset, because obviously mindset is a huge part of this, why would it be so important for entrepreneurs to be concerned about mindset?
Yeah, I think that mindset is everything. Like, if your mind is not in the right place, you can't go anywhere, and if you don't look at yourself the right way, it will affect every area of your life. If you can't, know that, like, you are worth a certain amount, or you can't know that your business is going to be successful. Like, if in your mind you're thinking like the opposite thoughts. Like, I heard something really powerful, and it was like, if you ask people what they don't want in their life, they will give you like a list of like all the things that they don't want and where they don't want to be. But if you ask them what they do want, oftentimes people don't know. They'll be like, I'm not sure. I actually don't. I've never really thought about that. And so I think what's missing sometimes is that we're focusing on all the things that we don't want in our lives. And so we get more of that. But when you switch to the things that you do want, they start to happen. And that's why it's so important to write your goals down. And you have to know these things, or else you can't have it in your mind. It's like sports. If you don't focus on winning, you're probably not going to win, you know? So your mindset is the ticket to anything that you do. It's the thing that when things get hard, when COVID happens, when, you know, you develop cancer, when life gets hard, it's your mindset that will pull you out of that. And if you don't have that strength and you haven't been exercising that muscle, it's really hard to move forward.
Yeah, I mean, that is absolutely like bang on. So
Yeah.
how, I mean, like there might be people watching who have small businesses, who are entrepreneurs, who are intrapreneurs, who, you know, maybe they're struggling, maybe they don't know their why, maybe they don't have the right mindset, maybe they don't know their self-worth. What would be some, I guess, suggestions or ideas that you can give to them?
I think journaling, honestly, having a journal, or if it's in your computer, in your notes, like just start writing. I think writing out, and it's okay if you're like, I'm not a writer, I'm not this, I'm not that, but I think getting things out on paper and being able to see them, start asking yourself those questions, like, what is my why? Like, you know, it sounds so silly, but I lived a lot of my life kind of not really knowing who I was. I just kind of did what I thought, you know, like it was easy to kind of connect with people and talk about what they were talking about. And when they ask you about music, you're like, well, I don't know. And I think it's just really important to discover who you are. And that just starts with practical things. Like when you start listening to more music, start adding it to a folder so that it's visible and you can see it. And then I think, like, again, this maybe feels cheesy to some people, but even just vision boarding, I love to use Pinterest this way. And if you have an idea for a business, or you have an idea for your health goals, whatever it is in your life, if you make a board and everything that comes up in your mind about that thing, put it in there, you know, all of the things that you want, where you're going. And even just visually being able to see that is so powerful. And when you start to see things, which is why writing it down is good, visualizing things is good, when you can see it, then you can start thinking that way. And it's just going to happen over time, where it's just the small things that you do. And I also think it's very important to look for people who are doing what you want to do. And maybe it's a piece of that, because I think sometimes it's hard when you don't have a blueprint for where you want to go. But sometimes it's taking pieces of the different things that you see. And so consuming that content, find people you can listen to that will really strengthen that part of your brain.
Absolutely. Find someone who's already been successful in that.
Yeah.
And just do whatever you can to consume their information and learn. I think that's a huge part of success, of mindset.
Mm-hmm.
That if you can look to other people who are already successful, or already are representing, you know, that they know what they're doing when it comes to whatever you want to learn about, you know, just consume and learn as much as possible.
And you kind of can catch it, right? Like, you may not have the strength in that moment, but someone else's strength will rub off on you, and you'll start to then believe it for yourself.
Yeah, absolutely. And so, last question for you. What are you the most excited about right now?
What am I the most excited about?
Yeah.
I'm excited about this. Like, I'm excited about taking the things that have changed my life and being able to share those with other people. You know, that's what I'm excited about. And really, if it's one person, impacting that one person to go on and do better things, you know, that's kind of what I'm excited about.
Making an impact.
Making an impact. Yeah.
I love that. I love that so much. Well, so if somebody is looking to find your YouTube channel, we'll definitely throw the link in the chat. But for someone who might be listening, how would they find your YouTube channel?
I think the best way is actually if you even just go on Instagram to Exo Naomi Lee, so at Exo Naomi Lee. I have a link tree on there, and you can kind of connect to everything that I have. My summit is still available. I think for a few more days, you can go on and watch it for free. So there's things like that on there that you can kind of find. And if you need your haircut, like that's where you'll find all of that information.
Yes, and you do a fabulous job.
Thank you.
Wonderful. So if you want to get a hold of Naomi, send her a DM on Instagram or check out her Instagram for her YouTube link, which I'm excited to see more of. And thank you so much for joining me today, Naomi. It was great having you. And guys, please don't forget to join my Facebook group, my free Facebook group, which is Social Selling Growth Masters. And don't forget to tune in next week for another recording of She Hustles with myself, Rebecca Kramer. And thanks so much for